Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back for silver, and I'm back from holiday, and I am not enjoying it. I wish I could just disappear from work and just leave forever. But no, nonetheless, I'm back, unfortunately. So unfortunately for you guys as well, we have got, well, not unfortunately for you guys as well. Unfortunately, you've got to listen to me, but not unfortunately, very fortunately indeed, we have a sprint event tonight here in silver for round 9 of Silver Season 6. Try saying that quickly. A sprint spectacular from silver. It looks like we are getting ready to get underway. So we've just got 2 joiners who I think are going to be joining in quali. They have not done their updates from last week, which is very disappointing indeed. Come on, guys. You've got to get your updates done and dusted straight away when it comes out. Because, of course, you want to race with Daniel Ricciardo, who's now in the AlphaTauri car, instead of Nick DeVries. I'm sure I should say the correct name, shouldn't I? Nick DeVries is his real name. No disrespect to DeVries, of course. He is very talented. Unfortunately, Ricciardo has been replaced, has replaced him in the game now after, of course, he was replaced full-time in real life, that is, in the AlphaTauri. But nonetheless, I'm rambling on. Tango has already said good evening and not very fast around here, so that is not looking good for Tango. He's very tired as well, so he's not having a great time at the moment. We'll get the session sorted. Let's get all of our lovely graphics up and on the screen. Good stuff indeed. So yeah, Tango is looking for a top 5 at best. He is saying in the comment section, let's have a look and see how it's going to unfold. Of course, it's an 18-minute qualifying, still a short qualifying here for silver. But of course, we'll have, I think it's 12 laps, isn't it, for the sprint event? And then the 36 laps for the 50% well, not endurance, but it's going to be kind of an endurance compared to the 12-lap sprint afterwards as well. So plenty of racing laps in action here tonight in silver. So stay tuned. There's going to be some great racing indeed coming up from silver, guys, I'm sure. And we are just waiting for one Williams and one Alfa Romeo to get themselves into the lobby, which is Ewok and Dopey Lemons. Like I was saying earlier, that is because they have not, haven't completed their updates just yet. They're just doing the copying bits at the end there to try and get themselves sorted. But they will be in the lobby very soon, and they'll be able to do some qualifying. Hopefully, we've got, like I said, everyone loaded in now, I believe. Although I do think that the spectator loads in a bit faster than the drivers themselves. So maybe we've got a few more seconds there in hand. But welcome along to the stream. Gordo has said, Ola, what's that? I would take a wet one today. So there we go. I think he means in terms of the wet conditions. We'll have to see what the conditions are going to be like. Nobody said so in the comment section just yet, what the weather conditions are going to be like here in silver tonight. But it looks nice and sunny. Albeit maybe a bit overcast there in the qualifying. But there we go then. I think we should be underway because, like I said, the timer is now done. It was down. It's 1 minute of the first minute of qualifying. Nobody's come out on track just yet. We're going to have to just ramble on for a bit more. But welcome along to the stream. Like I said, it's been... one eventful racing gold already last night, as we have got an Aston Martin out on the track now. And yeah, like I said, one eventful racing goal last night. Very wet one indeed as well. And Gordo there looking to get the wetness back here in silver as well. But I'm not quite sure it's going to be unfolding that way. We'll have to read in the comment section. There's a symbol for rain in the race. But the detailed time forecast says no rain. That's probably going to be either pouring with rain or just no rain at all. I'm not quite sure. It's usually unreliable in this game, isn't it? So, unfortunately, we're going to have to try and play it by ear, aren't we? We'll play it by sight when we get there, but we'll play it by ear for now. And Tango said there's some rain in the sprint and the race. Can't see how heavy or how long it will be, though. So, yeah, unpredictable weather conditions here for silver tonight. That is going to make it exciting when we get into the racing itself. It looks like the qualifying will be dry, as it started off nice and dry anyway. So hopefully it stays dry for those drivers to get themselves improve on their lap times as we get ourselves set and started there for qualifying. Camaro racer in the Aston Martin is going to be the first driver to lead us away on the attack lap. Of course, his home Grand Prix here in Austria. He's he's not always done very well at his home Grand Prix, has Camaro, unfortunately, in most cases, just because it's I think it's a cursed track, just like myself and Austria as well. But we'll hopefully see some great pace indeed from Camaro race, and hopefully this time it turns around there. The result turns around as well in his favour. We've seen some great qualifying performances from the Aston Martin driver this season already, but unfortunately, It's not been able to capitalise in the race itself sometimes. So hopefully this time it is, like I said, the turntables are going to turn and it'll be in his favour. Diashi has said hello there. Of course, Diashi is reserving tonight in place of Jinner, I think. Both the Haas drivers, unfortunately, as Luke is also reserving, both the Haas drivers, or full-time drivers, they're not been able to take part there in this Grand Prix. Unfortunately for Potstuff, I think he's working away, and Jinner is having internet issues. So those two having to bow out there of this sprint weekend here in Spielberg. But fortunately for them, they've got some good veterans there of Diashi there and Luke there to step in and put in some good points, good performances there for themselves. Here comes Kamara Racer first across the line. It's a 4.640 from the Aston Martin driver there. That is the precedent. That is the time to beat so far, as we've now got one time on the board. We'll have a look at Spike Leo, I think it is, who is, of course, reserving as well in place of, I'm not quite sure, and it'll come back to me. But here he comes now down the penultimate corner there into turn 10 as well, as we've got to try and get that right. Kamara Racer retired, and that is him done and dusted in qualifying. He is out at the top of the hill, and Spike Leo has gone into P1 at the moment with a 4.4 as well. Kamara Racer out of the session, and he's only done one lap time. Thankfully, he got his lap time in. Tango there into P4 as well. Diashi up into P3 with a good time as well. But I'm not quite sure what's happened there to Kamara Racer. The hometown hero has had an incident there at the top of the hill, and unfortunately, he is out of qualifying. Although he has been able to set a time on the board, which is good stuff indeed. Mumford into P5 there, ahead of Reflection and Gorda there. The other two to set a time. VTOD coming through Sector 2 now into Sector 3, and let's see what the Alpine driver can do. Not had a great season so far as VTOD, but hopefully he can turn it around, potentially with the sprint event as well. That could come back into his favour. He does look like he's just harvesting his energy there, so maybe not going to be able to set a representative time there on the board at this stage, but we'll see what that is going to do. It's a 1 minute 6 there. I don't think that is his best pace there. We've had Dylan jump up the order there, up into P2. He is only 300ths of a second there. Sorry, I was going to get 3,000ths out. That's a bit too early there for that. We've had that finish already in Bahrain for the first race of the season, but we've now got 300ths of a second behind Spike Leo, who is currently on pole position there on his first first appearance, I should say, his first debut here in Silver. Good stuff indeed. VTOD is back out on track there. He's still going around. I think Mr. Elite on an outlap there as well. Let's have a look at Sweet MJP. Had a bit of a difficult race the last 2 weeks. And let's see if he can turn around his form here in Austria. Right then, Gordo said I meant the weather, and Luke Chapman said hello, Silver, bronze super sub here to make a race in silver as well. We'll see how you do. Pot stuff here. Good evening all as well. Pot stuff there, I think, is unfortunately not taking us, not going to be racing with us tonight, and we're still waiting for two to join the lobby as well. So they need to hurry up as well, get themselves in. 12 minutes left of this session. Here comes Sweet MJP there through Sector 2 now, completing off Sector 2 there as we go around Turn 5 and now Turn 6 as well. I think that's right. Or maybe it's Turn 6 and 7. Now through Turn 7 and 8, I think that's 8, isn't it? There we go. And now we've got one more, or two more, I should say. This is Turn 9, and then the next one is Turn 10. Of course, dreaded penalty curse. If you run wide out here, it is the same in the game as well. If you run wide off all 4 tyres go past that white line and swim to people into P8 there. If those 4 tyres go across the line, you do get penalised there. And of course, if you're doing the qualifying, your lap will be invalidated, and also I think the next lap will be invalidated as well, which is not good news. Good evening all as well. We've got that as well. Good stuff indeed. Here comes Mr. Elite. Get down the back straight towards Turn 4. And making sure he gets on the brakes just late enough, of course, to maximise the speed through the corner, but also making sure you get the car slowed down in time as well. It's downhill left or downhill right-hand braking zone. It can be difficult to maybe snatch a brake there as well. It is possible to snatch a brake, and then that, of course, will ruin your lap time, but he seems to be nice and smooth at the moment, going through Turn 6 and 7 and 8 as well. He's had a bit of a problem there. I think he's now, what is he doing there? Weaving the car around. I'm not quite sure what's going on there for Mr. Elite. He is having a few issues, it looks like, so we'll come back to him. Luke has set a time there into P12 for himself in a 5:09 as Mr. Elite crosses on with a 9:06. That is not representative. I don't think he's going to go again. He is going again now. The ERS is switched back on there for the Red Bull driver as he takes us away. and down to up towards turn 3 as well. Yellow flags. We've got Luke going slowly there in sector 2, just trying to get out of the way there of the cars coming through. Reflection on an outlap there, looking to try and improve on a 4.9, which is looking good for Reflection as it stands the highest of the Mercedes runners at the moment. Where is Brabbit? He's in the pit lane, that is why, as Luke just getting out of the way, still trying to get himself back to the pit lane. Gordo is back in the pits as well, trying to get himself onto a new set of boots. V Todd is having a spin there in sector 2. He's got the car collected just about to stop him going into that wall there, but he's off onto the grass at the moment, letting that Red Bull come past Mr. Elite there. We'll go back to Mr. Elite because he's on a lap now into the final sector as well, down over the hill, over the crest of the hill, down towards turn 9 now, as he gets the car pointed in accurately. Very nice indeed as well. Now turn 10 as well. Can he keep that momentum through turn 10? He has done, and DRS is now up to the line. What's it going to be from the Red Bull driver? It's P10, a 5.3 there, but of course remember he's done 2 more runs on those soft compound tyres compared to his competitors who are further ahead of him as well. So it's not all doom and gloom for Mr. Elite. He's up in the top 10 as it stands. Of course there's still time in the session for them to get themselves in and sorted about. Right then. Mumford is right behind his teammate here. Irvine's on an out lap. Mumford is on a flying lap here. Will there be some communication there from the team bosses or not? I don't think there is at all, because here comes Mumford through, but he's being, well, I think it might be a bit of a dirty air there from his teammate of Irvine as they come across the line here. For Mumford, he has improved there to P3 with a almost a 2.5 tenth improvement, I should say. But he's got himself up into P3 with a 4.604. He is still about a 10.5 away from Spike Leo's lap time there of currently pole position, which is looking good indeed for pole position as it stands. And Diashi there up into P5 as well. Good stuff from him. Gordo saying he's back on the slow side. He's not too far. He's not too far away from being in the top 10. I don't think it's Gordo, so it's not all doom and gloom. Dylan is back out on circuit as well, and he is on a flying lap there. There's quite a bit of traffic in front of us as well. There's a, I think there's an Alpine there getting out of the way, potentially a Williams, though I can't quite tell the difference. As he's slowed down there, he's invalidated going through turn 3, I think. So he has aborted the lap time there, has Dylan there. He's coming back round now. Tango's back in the pit. Same Reflection is coming through sector 2 now in towards sector 3. And can he get himself further up the order? He's in P7 as it stands, which would probably be his best qualifying, I think, from memory so far this season, if he can hold on to that position there. But how can he do? Can he get himself even further up the order as well? Into turn 9 we go for the Mercedes driver. He's coming back to the pit lane there, so he's aborted his lap time and maybe looked like a fool, but there's nothing new really there. Irvine there has done an 8.7. That is not representative of Irvine either. Here comes Brabbit. They're up to the line. The championship challenger. He's on pole position there as it stands in the Mercedes there. He's only by 11 hundredths of a second there to Spike Leo, who's not done another time just yet. Another lap just yet, I should say. But Brabbit there currently on pole position, looking good indeed. Of course, I should go through the championship standings, but I do know for a fact off the top of my head that Dylan and Brabbit are both joint on 99 points there in the driver's standing. So it is very close at the top, and I think P3, who I can't remember who it is only 9 points behind on 90 points. So it is very, very close at the top of the standings in this division, and looking good for Brabbit there to try and extend that gap. Of course, Dylan is not far off in P3 as it stands, and only by less than 400ths of a second as well to pole position. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all not very far. Those gaps in the top of the field are going to be very small indeed here in qualifying. And like I said, we've got Kamara Racer already out as Echo is back at the back of the grid. We're still waiting for the likes of Ewok and Dopey Lemons to actually get into the lobby, which is kind of ridiculous, really. They've had plenty of time to do the update and get themselves into the lobby and get themselves sorted. But there we go. Car feels atrocious, says Tango. Not having a good time is Tango in P7 currently. Dylan goes faster still with a 4.395, and that is setting the precedent of the first driver into the 4.3s, I should say. Really, it's not really a feat or a title, I suppose you could say, but it's pole position as it stands for Dylan in the Alfa Romeo, which is looking good indeed, and that could be the championship challengers battling it out for the front row of the grid there. Currently, Brabbit there there in P2, is P2 in the standings mathematically. Well, I think just mathematically based on count back in terms of number of wins. But Brabbit there is currently in P2 on the grid as well. The two championship protagonists who are currently joint at the top of the standings are currently on the front row of the grid, which is fantastic indeed. But Spike Leo might have something to say about that. He is back out on track and back out on another lap as well. So is Diashi as well. Unfortunately for Kamara Racer at his home Grand Prix, he had a big smash at the top of the hill in turn 3, and that cost him his place in the qualifying, and it cost him his place in the, well, he did manage to get himself a lap time in firstly, but then I think pushing on the in lap somehow had an incident there at the top of the hill on his own, and that cost him his qualifying. Unfortunately, he's done a 4.6, which is still a pretty good time indeed. He's currently in P5. As unfortunately for Diashi, he's invalidated his lap time. Let's see what Spike Leo is up to, as he looks like he could be able to get himself into the echelons there of the front row. Currently, he's just under a 10th down on his previous lap time, which will be not be good enough there to get himself into that realm. But he's got another sector to go through, and he go through turn 10. He's very close to the track limits there, but can he get up to the line? What's it going to be? It's P2. He splits the two championship protagonists as on his first reserve appearance there in silver, and it is looking close indeed. He is 7,000ths of a second away from pole position of Dylan, and currently that is looking good indeed for a front row appearance there from Spike Leo as well. Good stuff from him. Diashi is coming back round. Ultimate Beast is back out on track there. He's coming back to the pits. Dopey Lemons has finally joined, and that is good timing indeed. He's probably got himself at least 1 or 2 laps potentially in this qualifying session there if he can jump into the car quickly enough. We're just waiting now for Ewok to join in as well. Sun is also a pain into turn 1, says Tango in this session. I'm not quite sure if that is it should be set to official time. I'm not quite sure if that's just the official time. Of course, in the qualifying last night for gold, which I was taking part of, but I really shouldn't have bothered because I wasn't anywhere near any pace in gold last night. But it was a good race nonetheless, but just not for me. Yeah, there was no sun in qualifying, or no sun in the race, and no sun in the sprint, and no sun in the race either, to be honest, as it was very wet indeed. As Mr. Elite, they're just trying to get himself round the final couple of corners. Dopey Lemons has got himself in the car, which is good news, but unfortunately no Williams driver has joined just yet. Ewok there not being able to get himself in for some reason, so I'm not quite sure what is going on for Ewok there around the final corner for VTOD. He's gone wide, but he's managed to keep within track limits just about, and up to, no, he's not on up to, he's just starting another lap, I think. There is VTOD there, so maybe harvesting, maybe just doing a bit more practice there. Is VTOD down in P13, unfortunately, at the moment. Dopey Lemons has got himself up and running. He's not got himself out on track just yet, but he's still got a couple of minutes there to get himself sorted. Dylan is on an out lap now, and we've got Spike Leo coming out. Brabbit is coming out of the pit lane as well. Here comes Mumford, all rolling out. All the top drivers there coming out of the pit lane now to try and challenge for that pole position here in Spielberg. And right then, we've got going to have a good fight indeed, I think, on the cards, as Brabbit, they're just going a bit slowly there on the outlap there. Mumford there is back out underway as well. So here we go then for the final couple of runs there. Hopefully Ewok can join in the next minute or so. Otherwise he'll miss out on the start of the sprint as well as the potentially the Grand Prix. I think if he gets in for the sprint and then he sits there at the end, then he'll be able to. What is going on here? It's like a repeat of the Monza qualifying as well, isn't it? As Mumford trying to get himself through and get himself past the rest of the queue. There's an Alpine there leading the way now. Yeah, I'm not sure what is going on. Ewok has joined in the last split second, so hopefully they've got a minute, and I don't think he's got enough time to get himself out on track, but he has got himself enough time to get himself ready and set up for the start of this Grand Prix. Mumford takes the reins. I think it's going to be Irvine to cross the line there. He's crossed the line, but he hasn't been able to improve. Unfortunately, validating there is Irvine, so it's not going to be a good qualifying. I think that's his qualifying done and dusted, unfortunately, for Irvine. We'll come back to that, as Mumford is going to be the next driver to cross the line, the other McLaren, as he crosses the line to start off his next flying lap, the final flying lap there for himself in this McLaren as well here in Spielberg tonight. This is the fastest these cars are going to be in the whole of this evening as well. So stay tuned to see how quickly this is going to be. How are they going to get into the 1 minute threes, or are they going to get even closer? I think they're going to be even closer together, to be honest, at the end of this session. Dylan goes even faster and missed that completely. He's done a 4 minute 1:9.7. to massively smash that pole barrier there and get himself sorted there, potentially for, well, guarantee, I think, almost for a front row appearance. But looking good indeed for Dylan, as somebody's retired. I'm not quite sure who it was. I think it might have been Reflection in the pit lane there. We'll come back to that. Mumford is back through into Sector 3 now as we cross the line to start off the next on the final sector for this qualifying in the McLaren. That is, he is 79 thousandths of a second up on his previous time, so that is not good news. He's down, down on his previous time, I should say, really, as now into turn 10. Can he make up that time? He's invalidated as he crosses the final corner, and unfortunately that is him done and dusted. Brabbit is invalidated as well. Spike Leo is not invalidated, but he's going to come through. We'll come back to that as we'll come and have a look and see who's going to be next across the line. I think it's going to be the Ferrari of Ultimate Beast as we go down the hill towards turn 10 and going wide, and that is unfortunately an invalidation there from Beast as he crosses the line and he smashes the car into the wall. I think that should be a bit of a problem there for himself in the qualify in the start of the sprint if he's going to have to get that car repaired. Favre, unfortunately, is a run out of hers. I don't think he's going to be able to improve on his time. Tango, I completely missed it, unfortunately for Tango. Sorry for Tango. Has got himself into P2 on the front row of the grid with a fantastic lap time there, a 4.2 from Tango there. He's only 8 thousandths of a second away from pole position as well. Fantastic from Tango. Dylan on pole position as it stands, but Mumford unfortunately can't do anything about it. That is him done and dusted in this qualifying. He has invalidated his time. He can be starting no higher than P5. Some position changes down the order as Gordo's crossed the line there into P16. Luke in P17. Ewok has got himself in the car, which is good news at least. He is out on track, but unfortunately not been able to set a time. I don't think he got round quick enough, I should say. Farf there crosses the line for P2, and I think that is qualifying done and dusted. And Dylan is your pole sitter here in Spielberg, Austria for the Austrian Grand Prix, funnily enough, of Silver Season 6, Round 9. Right then. We're just waiting for the guys to get themselves wheeled into the pit box. We have still got that Ferrari on the pit straight, so hopefully nobody crashes into that and gets themselves a penalty or something useless from Codemasters. But there is qualifying, I think, done and dusted now. We have got ourselves sorted. Good stuff indeed. We're ready for the sprint event now. 12 laps here in Styria. I'm going to say Styria instead of Spielberg because it's easier to say, potentially. But there we go. Then there is your qualifying classification then. Dylan on the front row, the pole position of the grid there with a fantastic lap time indeed, and of course the championship leader on the same points as Brabbit there in P4, but the championship leader looking good indeed in the qualifying so far in Spielberg. Tango in P2, good stuff indeed to get himself on the front row. Spike Leo there looking strong in the AlphaTauri there on his first reserve appearance in P3. Brabbit in P4, Mumford in P5, unfortunately invalidated his last run. Kamara Racer in P6, even with that big smash there after the only his one lap in the beginning of qualifying. Sweem in P7, Diashi P8, Mr. Elite in P9, Reflection P10, Beast in P11, Farf P12, Dan P13, Dopey Lemons P14, V Todd P15, Gordo, Luke, Irvine, Ewok and Echo make up the last 5 of the grid. But here we go then, we've got 12 laps to the sprint finish of this first part of the race of this event, and then we'll be back underway, of course, after the 12 laps with 36 laps there in the feature race as well. But first we've got to do the sprint. First we've got to get the strategy sorted. I'm not quite sure what the strategy is here because it seems to be dry in the race, and of course last night in Gold it was pretty wet, so I didn't know what tyre compound to go on in the dry if it was going to be dry. But we'll have to find out what the drivers are going to be choosing. Are they going to go for soft compound tyres? Are they going to go for medium compound tyres? Or are they going to go for the hard compound tyres? I would suggest probably the medium compound tyres are the best bet. But we'll find out. Yeah, Gordo saying, I have no pace. Well, it's a very quick track indeed, so you just have to make sure you minimise the mistakes, and you will probably gain some places here in the Grand Prix, as we're just waiting for the drivers now to get themselves sorted and underway. Good luck from Serious Mushroom there in the comment section as well. Thanks very much, Serious Mushroom, for wishing me good luck. I need it. But I think he's probably just wishing the drivers good luck, actually, rather than me. But nonetheless, we have got to get ourselves underway for this Grand Prix very soon indeed. And as I say that, we are underway there for the formation lap there. Good stuff. Great timing indeed. Impeccable stuff from me, really. But there we go. Right then, look at this. We've got everybody on the medium compound tyres for the first 12 laps there of this of tonight, I should say, really. Of course, there's 12 laps to come here in the sprint race, and then 36 laps there straight after in the feature race as well. But everybody on the medium compound tyres apart from the one, and the one is Gordo there in the Red Bull there in P16. So he's going to have to look for a fast start there as Gordo and trying to keep up the pace. I think those tyres might drop off towards the last few laps there of the sprint. The softs do like to drop off quite quickly, don't they? So he has to make sure he keeps them fresh, keeps them in the window, and can get to the finish line there and try and make up some places there in the early stages there on those fresher and grippier soft compound tyres. But here we go then, the formation lap, like I said, underway, but out in front, the top two storming off as Dylan and Tango are disappearing off in the distance here, which is very interesting stuff indeed. And there we go then. That is the that is their prerogative, isn't it? Really, they can do what they want on the formation lap so long as it's not erratic driving. They can go at whatever speed, so long as it's not too slow, that is. But if they want to do a race lap on their formation lap, I think that is I think that's pretty much allowed, isn't it? There's no reason why you can't do that. Of course, the problem with that is that the rest of the grid are a bit far away, as Echo just starting sector 3 now, as Dylan and Tango are entering the final straight, as Gordo has been disqualified for a collision with Luke. Unfortunately for those two there, but right, there we go then. Echo, of course, is at the back of the grid. I should have said that earlier in qualifying. Echo is at the back of the grid after serving a qualifying ban. That is why he's so far back, but he is ready to get going here in the sprint. Hopefully he has some luck there in the sprint event as well. But right then, we've got a nice viewing angle here, very far back though, as we've got a few disqualifications there getting themselves into the grid boxes, but we've got a very nice view very far back there of the starting grid. We might want to get something a bit closer, Codemasters, so that we can see the action unfolding into turn 1 as Ewok there parks himself up in the pit, up in the grid spot, I should say. We are ready, I think, to get going. Yes, we are. And we want to... I don't know what this angle is, but we are ready to get going, I think. We'll have to go on board. Here we go then, the 5 red lights. We've got a virtual safety car off the start-finish straight. Not quite sure what is going on here. VSC has been deployed before we got even. Before, I think the 5 red lights went out, but they didn't actually get racing, did they? Because the VSC immediately popped up. Everyone has to stay in position now as well as we get ourselves up the hill towards turn 3. Very nice indeed. A great start, a great calm start indeed there, of course, with the VSC deployed. So I'm sure Smithy, as the admin, will be very happy about this. But unfortunately, very unfortunately, it has mean that we've got a bit of a slow burner there at the beginning of this sprint event, as Reflection and Beast battling, overtaking each other, which is, like I said, not allowed there in under a yellow flag, under a VSC or a safety car. But they have rectified their situation there. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the cause of that was, as Gordo's a rebel says Serious Mushroom. I think he's referring to the soft compound tyres. He's not been able to use the softs to his advantage just yet, because we've got this VSC that has come out at the very beginning of the lights out, and I think it might be going away very soon. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it goes away very soon. As Tango into the back of Dylan there on the exit of the final corner. The VSC has gone away, and we can get racing again as Dylan sets the fastest lap. I'm not quite sure if Tango might have got some front wing damage from that. He's going to go down the inside into turn 1, but no, not quite. Spike Leo is going for the move. No, he's not. Is Brabbit going for the move there on Spike Leo into turn 1, and Brabbit now up into the podium places there for this sprint event, as Mumford is getting a jump on the AlphaTauri as well. What's happened to Spike Leo? He's had a problem there on that restart. I think he have to go a bit slowly potentially. Dan and Beast battling away. Mr. Elite and Diashi as well. Spike Leo's back past Mumford. They're going to go side by side down towards turn 4 as we go into turn 4 for the second time, but this is the first racing lap, I suppose you could say. Kamara Racer in P6 trying to get himself past the AlphaTauri as well, but there we go. The gaps are not 1 minute and 12 seconds. That is absolute rubbish there from Codemasters. We are just waiting for them to get themselves sorted. Hopefully when they cross the start-finish line, it will stabilise. Yeah, Tango there has had a bit of a poor restart there. Maybe there is some wing damage there for the Aston Martin there after going into the back of the Alfa Romeo on the restart. of turn 10, literally a lap ago right here. He went into the back. I think there's some problems there for Tango. He's dropping off the back. Dylan sets the fastest lap. Spike Leo getting back past the McLaren of Mumford. Beast sets the fastest lap of the race. Looking good indeed for Beast, trying to get some pace there in the Ferrari there down in P10, and the DRS has now been enabled as well. Here comes Brabbitt there on the back of the Aston Martin, and I think there must be some problems there for the as yellow flags in the background for Echo. He's had a problem there at the exit of the exit turn 1 is back underway. But Brabbitt, I think, Tango, I think, has got some problems there with the front wing there. The Aston Martin is really struggling, trying to get himself around Brabbitt now as well. He didn't have any option there to go around, apart from to go around the outside, as Brabbitt now covers the inside there into turn 4, and he's kept the position just ahead of that Aston Martin for the time being, as they try and get themselves after Dylan. But Dylan's now got a 1 second or 1.2 second lead over the rest of the grid. That is fantastic news for Dylan, because of course he wants to try and stretch his legs and trying to get out the range of the drivers ahead and try and escape that DRS there for the likes of Brabbitt and the likes of Tango. Everyone else is behind, trying to be pulled along there, as they're going to have to, I think, try and get themselves past Tango, who I think has got some problems in this Aston Martin. Brabbitt says the fastest lap of the race there, trying to get himself back after the race leader of Dylan there, who's set the precedent so far, albeit with that VSC. And now Tango through turn 1. He's now left himself vulnerable there to Spike Leo as well. Spike trying to get himself up the inside into turn 3 potentially. DRS still available though, but into the turn 3. And I think Tango's got a lot more straight line speed compared to the AlphaTauri. Into turn 3 we go. Kamara Racer and Sweet Peak battling away. Can Kamara keep hold of that position there? He's got the DRS as well, as they're so close compared to the rest, or so close to the order compared to the rest of the grid as well, as Gordo there gets himself up into P14. Diashi and Sweet MJP battling into turn 4, and Sweet MJP gets the place there into P7. Great stuff indeed there. Diashi there having to yield there to the Williams driver. And Serious Mushroom has put lots of rabbits as well. So I think he's got climactic, says Serious Mushroom as well. Gordo up to P13 as Dopey Lemons and Dan having a battle in the end of Sector 2, beginning of Sector 3. I think there's what is Dopey Lemons up to here? He's coming back. Is he coming into the pit lane? I'm not quite sure. Reflection's got a 3-second penalty. That's the first and only penalty so far up the order. Tango has been passed by Spike Leo on the main straight, I should say, into turn 1. But now Tango there having to try and fight back. They've lost 1.9 seconds to the top 2. Brabbitt has got himself within DRS range of the race leader of Dylan, and this could be treacherous for Dylan, although the good news is that they've stretched their legs there, as Mumford's going down the inside, going around the outside. They're trying to make it 3 wide through turn 3, and he comes back on the track, and that's dangerous indeed, as Tango there gets hold of P3 for the time being. Kamara Race up into P5. They're trying to get past Spike Leo as well now into P4, and now the Aston Martins are on would be on the second row of the grid for the feature race, should it finish this way, but I think it won't finish this way. There'll be some changes still to come, as Kamara there is all over the back of his teammate now. And he needs to make sure he keeps patience there before trying to go for a move, as this could get very interesting indeed. Spike Leo there having to watch and awaiting brief there behind the backs of the behind the diffusers there of the 2 Aston Martins, as now we go on to the main straight. Tango is struggling, I think, with some wing damage, but he's doing a great job of holding on to the position for the time being as well. Kamara slots him back behind, as here comes Spike Leo down the inside into turn 1. No, not quite, and Kamara is going very squirrely on the exit there. And Spike Leo go for the move this time now with DRS and ERS available to him. He's trying to be he's going to be blocked off there by Tango there. Down the outside goes Spike Leo. It's meant to be 3 wide into turn 3. Kamara Racer gets him to P3. Spike Leo goes around the outside of Tango. Tango's had a spin, and that is Tango, unfortunately, down the order. He's out of the top 5. Well, he's down to the top, down to 15th now, unfortunately, for Tango. I'm not quite sure if there was wing damage there for the Aston Martin driver, but he has had a costly spin. Ultimate Beast has picked up a penalty, and that is bad news for him. Diashi trying to get past Mumford. I think there was a few changes there because of the spin there from as though for a spin for himself. There is Diashi there on the inside of turn 5, and unfortunately that's Diashi as well down the order as it comes back on right ahead of Tango. That is close indeed, but unfortunately for Diashi that was a self-induced spin, I should say, as Gordo there is going back to Gordo. We had a look at this as Dopey Levens has pit for the soft compound tyres. The only other driver on the soft compound tyres is Gordo. He started on the soft, but he had a problem there out of turn 10. Oh, he's nearly made contact there with Dan as Mr. Elite and Beast switching places there into turn 1. Here comes Dan on Gordo. Gordo's being pushed wide. I think there was a bit of contact potentially there between the two of them. We'll have to wait and see if there's going to be any reports on that, but I can't comment myself. Kamara Race has been passed by Spike Leo now into turn 3. Oh, as he's gone over the curbs as well. That could open the door for Mumford here for P4. Can he get himself past the Aston Martin as well? This is not, well, it's been an up and down race so far for Kamara Racer at his home Grand Prix, but he is unfortunately down into P5 now. He was up into P3 at one stage, but that is he's not having a great time as it stands at the moment here. Dan and Irvine battling away. As here comes Irvine on the inside, now to the outside there of turn 5. He's got the move done up into P12. Gordo trying to hold on to the back of the top 10. Currently, I think he is in P8 there with the penalties there for Beast and Reflection. No, he's sorry, P9. Well, he needs to try and gain one more place on somebody else there. Or if somebody else gets a penalty ahead of him, then he could get himself into the top 8 there on the soft strategy, which could be a fantastic strategy indeed there if he can get it right for Gordo there. He needs to cling on to the back of these drivers there. Those soft compound tyres might drop off there in the next lap or two. We're on to lap 8. We didn't even notice. I didn't even notice. Kamara Racer there has got a 3-second penalty, unfortunately for him. That could demote him down, and that could be Gordo's saviour potentially there to get himself into the top 8 as well. 4 seconds is the gap there between the top 2 and Spike Leo in P3. They've really pulled away massively. Mumford is trying to cling on to the back of Spike Leo. He's got the DRS there to try and pull himself along, and that is good news indeed for Mumford. I think that's just trying to keep him in play as Kamara Racer is right on the back of him as well now. Down the order, Tango and VTOD switching places as Tango and VTOD into turn 4. VTOD Hulk goes deep on the brakes. He's gone wide onto the gravel, unfortunately, is VTOD. And, oh, what's happened there? Tango's gone through. And, yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened there between VTOD. I think VTOD is trying to get himself back onto the racetrack. And I'm pretty sure that Tango is struggling with the front wing damage there that he might have got in the beginning of lap 2 actually there on the safety car restart. Kamara back up into P4 as he's got himself past the McLaren of Mumford. Mr. Farfar's got himself a penalty as well, and that is bad news indeed for the Alpine driver. Sweet and Repeat trying to get himself past Mumford now as well. Mumford's run out of ERS. It looks like that that McLaren is harvesting down the main straight, and now we go on to lap 9 as well. Lap 9, here we go. Then look at this train. Indeed, they're so close indeed between the silver drivers, and usually it is so clean as well. Kamara Racer gets himself up into P4 ahead of Sweet MJP, and Sweet MJP now has the DRS there to switch back and try and get himself back past down towards turn 4, but I don't think there's going to be any moves made down up in the lead. Bravitt is only 2 or 3 tenths behind the race leader now of Dylan. And these two are in a fight of their own at the moment, aren't they? And really just cruising off into the distance as it stands. Sorry about that siren. VTOD has finally been passed, I think, by Tango this time, has he? No, he's coming back at the Aston Martin there into turn 5 and 6. But still, he's clinging on. VTOD has gone through and up into P14 once again. These two battling away. I think with Tango's wing damage there, VTOD is doing a good job there, trying to get himself through safely as well. Gordo's lost out there to Irvine as we've just seen Dan going wide at the exit of turn 9. That could be a warning there, potentially a penalty coming his way if that does get added on. We're on to lap 10, and Gordo, I think, now is struggling there on the soft compound tyres. As Bravitt has gone for the lead. Bravitt has got the lead, I think, into turn 3. He's got the DRS there on the Alfa Romeo of Dylan, and up into P1. There goes the Mercedes driver there for the championship. Currently, that would mean that he's 1 point ahead in the standings at the end of the sprint. That is, of course, the feature race still to come tonight as well. That is, yeah, Bravitt there currently into P1 there. That would be 8 points there for the Mercedes, and only 7 points there for the Alfa Romeo. They're currently joint on 99 points there at the top of the drivers' standings. There, these two. And they are going to be close indeed, I think, at the end of this sprint event as well. Yellow flags for Reflection. I think he's gone off the circuit there at turn 4. He's back underway. But unfortunately there for Reflection, that is cost him some serious places there. Of course, the grid is so close. The drivers are so close, especially in the mid-pack, that these drivers there are on the limit as well. And of course, if there's a mistake, then that costs them a few more places than it would do if it was a bit more spread out. Dylan now is going to just try and sit in behind, I think, as we go on to the penultimate lap here in Austria for this sprint event. Of course, there is still 36 laps to come here tonight after this one as well. The 50% feature race is coming up in just a few minutes' time. But here comes Bravitt there. Well, here comes Dylan there, I should say, on the attack. Can he get himself back past into the lead of the race, or is he going to wait to the final lap? There is going to be some tactics here with the DRS as well. Mr. Elite's got himself past Beast as Beast has dropped down the order. He's ghosting there, and I think there's a far going through the middle of him. Sweet MJP up into P4. They're getting himself back past Kamara Racer. These drivers have dropped off the top 3. Unfortunately, with Spike Leo, he's in a race of his own, on his own, I should say. He's currently 2.5 seconds ahead of Sweet MJP, but he's 5 seconds behind the top 2, disappearing off in the distance. And Farfar's got himself past Beast Beast there after the ghosting. I'm not quite sure what is going on there between those two. We did see some ghosting shenanigans there with Marky, my Alpine teammate last night as well in gold, and it was unfortunate there for Marky that he couldn't take part or couldn't finish off the race. His reflection has been passed there by Vitold up into P13. Now goes Vitold. Gordo trying to hold on to the back of Dan to get himself pulled along. He could still get himself into the top 10 with the penalty situation ahead of him. Here comes Dylan there. Can he make any moves there? He needs to make a move very quickly indeed on the back of the Mercedes of Brabbit there, getting out of on the traction there, out of turn 3, but I think he's too far back, potentially in the DRS that is. Mr. Elite has been passed by Farf there. Around the outside goes the Red Bull driver, but can't hold on to the position there just yet. Anyway, Irvine there gets the move on Beast as well, and as Diashi picks up a penalty, unfortunately for Diashi, he's had a problem there at the back of the order, and here comes Mr. Elite back on Farf into turn 4, going to go around the outside there as well. We'll come back to this battle. I think we'll have to come back to this battle as Dylan is trying to put the pressure on the Mercedes of Brabbit, but Brabbit's just had too much ERS, I should say, too much power to play with in this Grand Prix. He's sat behind for the first few laps there, but he's got the move earlier on in the sprint, and now he takes the win here in Austria for the 12-lap sprint event here in this Silver Season 6 Round 9 Grand Prix. And what a race win indeed. Another points paying race for Brabbit there and for Dylan in the championship fight as well. Spike Leo in P3 with a great drive indeed as well. The penalties there just adding in as Sweepdip, he does cross the line in P4, Mumford in P5, Camaro in P6 where he started, as Ewok's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane for some reason. He just needs to cross the finish line and that will be his race sorted. Mr. Elite in P7, good points for him. Irvine does get the final points paying position there in P8. Dan just outside the points, and Gordo does finish in P10 on the soft compound tyres. That strategy did work out in the end for Gordo. It did work out in the end for Gordo. He got himself into the top 10, and of course we'll be starting in P10 at the beginning of the feature race, which is coming up in just a few minutes time. Pango said he did have damage there. We did suspect some damage there as he did start dropping off there after the shenanigans there. But there is your classification there for the sprint event so far in this of this Austrian Grand Prix so far. That I should say, because we have got the feature race coming up for you in just a jiffy. But there is your classification there. Brabbit there does take the win there. 8 points for Brabbit. That would of course extend his championship lead there. Well, not extend his championship lead, but he'll take the championship lead there by 1 point to Dylan. Of course, they started on 99 points there at the beginning of this event before we started that sprint event as well. But there is your classification there with the whole classification there for all 20 drivers as well. And we will get ourselves underway now for the feature event, which is going to be coming up in just a jiffy. So stay tuned. There's plenty more action coming up, and we'll see how it's going to unfold. 36 laps, of course, so it's much up. Well, it's 3 times the length, of course, than the sprint event. So we'll have much more racing, much more action for you to come in the next few minutes. Gordo said I'll take that as well, and so that is good news indeed. But right then, let's get ourselves underway for the feature race. And again, it still looks nice and dry here in Austria, which is fantastic stuff indeed, because a wet race is a bad race in my opinion. But that's just based on my previous experience of Austria, and of course last night's experience adding on to that as well. But right then, we're getting ourselves sorted now. Strategies, fuel loads, all sorts of tyre compounds, everything like that. Everything you need to go into the car needs to be sorted before we get ourselves underway once again for the formation lap. And then we'll be underway for 36 laps around Spielberg as well. Rain is on the radar, we've just heard as well. Rain is coming here in the feature race, so stay tuned. Because we might not have a straightforward Grand Prix. Nonetheless, it could be rain coming in this race as well. We'll have to wait and see when and where exactly, of course. But we are ready to get going now for the formation lap there. And we are back underway here in Austria once again. So good stuff indeed. We'll just have a quick look at the tyre compounds and see if there's any changes to the strategy. There is some changes to the strategy, that is, as we've got 2 drivers on the soft compound tyres, Mr. Elite in P7 there and Reflection in P15. both on the soft compound tyres. The majority of the grid has gone for medium compound tyres. Irvine, Dan in P8 and P9 respectively. Farf and Vitod, both the Alpines, P11 and P12, and Tango in P14 and Dopey Lemons in P19, all on the hard compound tyres. There's 6 on the hards, there is 2 on the softs, and there's everybody else on the medium compound tyres. Right then. So Brabbitt there has taken the lead in the championship by 1 point to Dylan, who is right behind him off the start of this grid. And so that is interesting stuff indeed, because of course he's now taken the championship lead for the first time this season as well, I believe, ahead of the Alfa Romeo driver there. But of course they started on 99 points tonight. They are currently on, what's my math, 107 for Brabbitt and 106 for Dylan. So it is very close indeed. 1 point separates the top 2 of the grid, and 1 point separates the top 2 in the drivers' standings as well. So it is incredibly close indeed. As we saw for the whole sprint race, it's been incredibly close, and I'm sure we'll get some incredibly close racing once again in the 36 laps to come as well. Here once again we get ready to get ourselves ready for another start here in Spielberg. This is going to be an exciting one, hopefully, but hopefully we don't get a VSC off the start once again. But fingers crossed, everybody is ready to get going, and we can get ourselves lined up on the grid as they get themselves all sorted. Around the final corner we go. Diashi there making up the way. There's Brabbitt's been disqualified, unfortunately, for not parking in the right spot. But once again, we'll get this wonderful camera angle. It's a very nice camera angle indeed. But the problem is that it's a bit far away for me to see the red lights. So we'll wait for them to get all parked up. I think we're all parked up now, and we'll just jump on board there with the first cars in the grid order as well. 5 red lights are on in Austria for 36 laps here, and the 5 red lights are out, and away we get going, I think. And away we go now into turn 1 we go, and Dylan with a great start indeed, trying to get the jump on Brabbitt there into P1 and up the inside. I think he's going to go for it. He's got the move into the lead, and Brabbitt there has to back out down the back of the order, swinging to P3. Kamara Racer in P4. We'll have a look at the position changes quickly, as up 2 places. Kamara Racer, they're great stuff indeed there on that start. Unfortunately for Brabbitt, they're not a great start for him. I think that disqualification, that cost him, as we've gone deep into turn 3, and that could open the door now for the Williams driver as 300p. No moves being made down the order. Well, there's moves being made down the order, but it's all been fair and square. It looks like so far Spike Leo has been passed by Mumford there. Mr. Elite up into P5 on the soft compound tyres, looking great indeed on that start for the Red Bull driver. Good stuff from him. Unfortunately, the timing has disappeared again, so hopefully that rectifies itself as they cross the start-finish line. But here comes Dylan there. He took the lead into turn 1. He's got the lead once again ahead of the Mercedes driver, and can he have the better pace at this time to try and get himself outside of that 1 second window? Although we saw he did get himself outside of that 1 second window to the Mercedes of Brabbitt last time in the sprint, and it didn't work out for him in the end. Brabbitt won the race, but he has lost the lead there of the sprint, of the feature, I should say, as Dylan crosses the line to finish off the first lap. They've still got some timing issues there. They're not 1 minute behind. They're only a few minutes behind. Luke is into the pit lane. Unfortunately for Luke, he's had a problem there on the opening lap. He is back underway though, as CWP now trying to cling onto the back of the top 2. Hopefully they can hold on to the back of the top 2 this time compared to in the sprint, and that will help bring them all along in this Grand Prix. Mr. Elite going to try and go for a move, I think, on Kamara Racer very soon. Dan and the AlphaTauri Spike Leo switching places there as they just get themselves round turn 3 for the second time in this feature race, and Dan there just taking the lead of the AlphaTauri pair. Here comes Farf down the inside there, trying to get himself down the inside of Spike Leo on the hard compound tyres as well. He's got the move done, has he? But can he hold it down round the outside now into sector 3 we go? And he has lost out there to Spike Leo. Spike Leo's got the move. Farf's going to try and battle back there, but he's going to have to slot in behind there through this complex of corners there, and maybe wait for DRS to be activated, which of course will be on the next lap. We've already flown through 2 laps as well. Here comes Dylan there onto the start-finish straight to finish off lap 2 and cross the line there into P1 we go. Of course, he had a great start indeed. Mr. Elite, that's the fastest lap of the race. He's trying to get himself up the order on the soft compound tyres. We'll switch onto the tyres in just a lap's time or so after the position changes have completely unfolded. Luke there says he's only 1 second back, but unfortunately he's a bit further back than that. Diashi's got himself up 3 places, so has Dopey Lemons there after that difficult sprint race for them both. Spike Leo and Dan battling away. Farf in close proximity as well. He's going to try and make any moves if there's any issues there between the AlphaTauri pair, as DRS of course is available now to the 2 of them. And nope, he's having to slot in behind a very interesting camera angle there. We couldn't really see much from that angle in the cockpit, but there we go. We'll go back to it for some reason, and there we are. So now into sector 3 once again on lap 3 of 36. There's still plenty of laps to go there, but the hard compound tyres maybe not phasing in just yet. Of course, the mediums are a bit faster compared to those who are ahead. We'll go onto the tyre compounds as Dan is also on the hard compound tyres. I completely missed that. And so is Irvine in P10. Diashi getting himself past Dopey Lemons there, of course, on the on the quicker, currently, medium compound tyres there compared to those on the hards. Reflection having a bit of a battle there as well, as here comes Diashi there trying to get himself past VTOD and Tango also making moves further up the order there into turn 1. And Gorda there dropping down behind the Aston Martin. Up in the lead, Brabham has taken back that P1 as he's got himself up the inside there into turn 3 of the Alfa Romeo. But now Dylan, I think, can switch back and try and get back that lead there down towards turn 4. These two going to have to work together to try and pull that gap like they did in the sprint race. But at the moment, Dylan takes back the lead there very quickly indeed from the Mercedes driver. Mr. Elite has been overtaken by Mumford there into turn 4, and Mr. Elite now dropping down the order a bit now on those soft compound tyres. Potentially the softs are starting to drop off there already, as they do drop off pretty quickly indeed, don't they? So it could be the end, almost the end, or the coming of the end there for the soft compound tyres. They will drop off pretty quickly, but now Mumford is now over a second behind Kamara Racer. The top 4 now starting to stretch their legs, as you can see them all in shot there, and the McLaren they're coming round turn 9 behind us. But unfortunately, Mumford there is outside that 1 second DRS window. So is Spike Leo there. He's lost out the DRS there to the 2 ahead of him as well. Mr. Elite, they're trying to make a move there into turn 1. He's having to bide his time. Ultimate Beast is back in the pit, is into the pit lane, I should say, for the first time. He is in for a front wing change, unfortunately, for Beast. I'm not quite sure what happened there. We didn't see any contact, I don't think. But he is having to make an unscheduled pit stop there for a new front wing there and a new set of hard compound tyres as he trundles down the pit lane there to get himself back underway there onto lap 5. And I think he'll hold on to the place ahead of yellow flag for somebody. It's a problem there for Dopey Lemons, I think. Turn 3. He's off the circuit there, and I think there's a problem from Echo as well. Echo is off the circuit also. And he's just let Dopey Lemons back through. I'm not quite sure if there was a coming together between the two of them, but that is bad news indeed. And Echo's got a penalty as well, unfortunately, for whatever happened there. Beast has got himself back out, but he's back out behind us. Brabham has had a problem as well. Brabham is down to P4, and we completely missed this. I'm so sorry, but we completely missed it. I think he's got front wing damage there as Brabham there. There's a right end plate missing there on the Mercedes, and that is going to cost him a lot of time indeed, and that could potentially signal an early pit stop indeed for the Mercedes driver as well. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Maybe there was a bit of a confusion there into turn 3, but Dylan there has got the lead now. The Speed P in P2, Kamara Racer in P3. Brabham unfortunately has dropped out of the DRS there, the top 3, and without the DRS there, I think he's going to just drop further back, as Mr. Elite's got himself past as well, or will get himself past now with the DRS into turn 4. Unfortunately for Brabham there, it's going to be a struggle now to get himself back to the pit lane. He's going to have to pit. I think he's losing too much time already to the drivers around him. He'll have to go onto the hard compound tyres and get that wing changed as well, but at least he will get a bit of an undercut. But I'm unfortunately not sure what happened there. It was all Mumford going into the back of him there, and that is why you need to have awareness of the drivers around you. You need to make sure you're going to be aware of what's going to happen there for the drivers who have got front wing damage, etc. And I think Brabham is trying to hold on to this position there still, even though he's got that wing damage as well, and it's going to go wide down to turn 9. That is going to be bad news indeed. He's carrying on his Brabham, which is, I think, the wrong decision, unfortunately, for B Rabbit. He's onto the straight now, but he's going to be mobbed by the drivers behind him, even on the hard compound tyres. The likes of Spike Leo is already through, and I think the likes of Dan will come through as well. Here comes Dan now on the exit turn 9. You can see there's no end plate there on the right hand side there of the Mercedes front wing, and that is what's costing Brabham the issues there into turn 3 as well. We go once again, I should say, as now Farf down the inside there of the Mercedes, and not giving much room there is Farf, but he's now, and that's cost himself and the McLaren a bit of pace there on the stricken Mercedes of Brabham there. He's dropped down the order now as into turn 4 we go. I'm going to have a look down the inside as well, I think, as we get on the power as well. And unfortunately for Brabham, whatever has happened there on that front wing is costing him dearly now, as Tango there, of course, who had a horrible sprint event, is back up into the points paying positions now as well. Great stuff indeed from Tango. He's stuck at it and he's got himself back up into the top 10 there. But Brabbit there from P1 on the grid, he's dropping down the order there. He's dropping down, and I think he needs to make a pit stop urgently to get that front wing replaced. He is into the pits now, but he has lost out a lot of time there to his rivals as he comes into the pits to slow down that Mercedes there on the pit entry line. And yeah, he could get the hards from here to the end, do you reckon? It's going to be a tight call. It's going to be 28 laps, or 27 laps, I suppose, to the end there, as the front wing does go on the Mercedes. But we'll have to wait and see how can he do. How can he keep it in the intact, and can he keep it on the road, as Mr. Elite has been passed by 1, 2, and now 3. Dan is up into P6. Mr. Elite, those soft compound tyres just not working very much, working as well as they were at the start of this Grand Prix, and now the hard compound tyres on the Alpha Tauris have warmed up enough to get themselves through. And yeah, he's now being swamped there by Farf as well. Farf trying to get himself past as well into Sector 2, but you're going to have to slot in behind there as Farf, because that is a very dangerous place to try and make an overtake indeed. But he's going to go for it anyway, because that's classic Farf, but he's got the move done fairly, thankfully. And Mr. Elite, they're dropping down 4 places there in the space of a few corners as Dopey Lemons is out of the race. Is that a safety car? It is a safety car. And Dopey Lemons has had an incident there at the exit of turn 4. It's a bit far on for the exit of turn 4 as well. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Farf is in the pits, so is Mr. Elite. And these drivers there called it at the right time straight away. I think they called it to get themselves into the box there to try and get themselves onto a new set of tyres as well. They have got medium compound tyres there for both Farf and Mr. Elite, so I think they might have to stop again, as Dopey Lemons has left the session once again as well. And that is bad news indeed for Dopey Lemons in the Alfa Romeo. Of course, he only joined in qualifying because he was trying to do his update, and now unfortunately he did the sprint event, and now he is out of the feature races. Mr. Elite trying to get himself out of the pit lane there, trying to go all over the place. It looked like he's back out in P13. So of course he was in P8 there at the beginning of the safety car. Of course, when he did get called out, he was in P8 there. So interesting stuff indeed there. He's made his pit stop there. Will any other drivers follow him in? Reflection has made a stop. So has Ewok in P14 and 15 respectively. Brabbit, of course, has stopped earlier into P16 now, but he could get himself back into the fray, back into the queue with this safety car as well. Ultimately, Luke and Echo can get themselves back in the fray also. So that is good news for both of the Ferraris there and Luke as well. But into the pits goes the race leader of Dylan. He's coming in now. Swindler is following him, and so is Kamara Racer as well. Mumford is staying out, so Mumford is going to stay out there in this Grand Prix, which is interesting stuff indeed. Mushroom said, good save B-Rabbit here. This safety car. Both the McLarens have stayed out. Look at that. Tango stayed out as well. So has Gordo. So has V Todd. So has Diashi. And the top 6 there on 9. Well, they will be on 10 lap old hires once they cross the line at the end of this lap as well. So that is very interesting stuff indeed. Dylan, the race leader, or the former race leader, is out in P7. Swimmer in P8 and Kamara in P9, so no changes there for those guys. Spike Leo just out ahead of Farf, very close indeed, but he's got the position there still. Has the Alpha Tauri reserve, and that is that done and dusted really. Pretty much everybody apart from Luke's still staying out on the hard compound tyres. He's done 8 laps on the hards. I'm not quite sure why he hasn't come in the pit lane just yet, but that is that. As Echo is not catching up to the safety car queue for whatever reason, so it's going to take him a while to get himself sorted. But there we go. The race leaders have been caught by the safety car. Now we're just waiting pretty much for Echo there to just catch up to the safety car queue, so we can get ourselves restarted in this Grand Prix. But right then, we're just getting ourselves back underway. The McLarens now lead 1-2 here in this Grand Prix, which is pretty interesting stuff, fantastic stuff indeed as well. Mumford there is our race leader now. Of course, the top 6 have not pitted, neither is Luke. I suppose Luke needs to pit as well at some point on the 8-lap old hard. I don't think they'll make it to the end with another 26 laps on them. So he will have to make a pit stop at some point, I think, in this Grand Prix. But there we go then. Mumford now will be the de facto safety car, of course, when the safety car does come in. And then we'll be able to get ourselves back underway for the restart of this race. We are approximately 1/3 of the way through, the same distance as the sprint event. Well, next lap will be the same distance as the sprint event, and that will be the third way marker of this feature race. Right then, of course, we forgot about this, but there's rain on the rain afoot, so that is why they're holding out for the rain for the drivers who haven't pitted. That is an interesting strategy call there from those who have decided to stay out there. The top 6 there, of course, deciding to stay out there, of course, thinking that potentially the rain could fall a bit earlier than expected as well. There is 10 minutes to go until it rains, apparently. Oh, that's what the forecast is from Mark, anyway, in the driver's ears. So potentially we could see that a few minutes earlier, potentially a few minutes later. Can the drivers on the medium compound tyres hold on? They will want the wet compound, want the rain to start falling, I should say, before, well, very quickly indeed, in the next few laps or so. I'm not sure if that will be enough time for the mediums to hold on, though. We'll have to wait and see. Well, they might have to chance it there and go onto a set of soft compound tyres. There could be strategy galore there in this Grand Prix still to come, but the rain is potentially falling soon, so stay tuned. There's going to be some rain towards the end of this Grand Prix, which is what I would absolutely despise, but nonetheless we've got to deal with it, haven't we? Right then, the safety car is now peeling away down turn 9, down towards the pit lane entry. Mumford is going to be the race leader, de facto race leader now. I think the safety car is peeled away, so he's ready to get going once again there in this Grand Prix as we finish off lap 11 to start lap 12 of this Grand Prix. As into the pits comes Mr. Elite. He's back in the pits after, 2 laps on the medium compound tyres, and so is Dan. Dan's in the pits as well. I'm not quite sure what's happening there for these 2 drivers. They're back in the pit lane. There's wing changes there for those 2. Well, for wing changes there for Mr. Elite and for Dan as well, as they both crack on as well. Dylan's got past Diashi already in towards turn 3, and now here comes Sweet JP. They're down the inside there of the Haas driver as well. These the fresh hard compound tyres are switched on very quickly indeed, and are trying to get themselves through the orders. Diashi trying to squeeze the Williams driver. I'm not quite sure why. He's on the much older tyres. He's not going to be able to hold on to that position, I don't think, as here comes a Kamara racer as well on the back of the Haas reserve. And can he go down the inside there into turn 5? It's going to be close indeed. He's got the move. He's gone for the move, and he's got the move there as Kamara racer. Good stuff indeed, and great stuff indeed from Diashi as well, knowing that there was another faster car right behind him, and to keep an eye on those mirrors as well. But now here comes Farf there on the medium compound tyres. I think Farf might have made a good call here. Potentially, if it does rain again, or it does rain soon, I should say, then the medium compound tyres will be able to last another 10 or 15 minutes or so to the rain. And Dan has pitted for the soft compound tyres, so potentially that means the rain could be coming soon. Ewok has been passed by Brabbit there down the main straight towards the first turn. VTOD's dropped down the order. VTOD's had a problem at the exit of turn 1. He's going to try to get himself back underway, but unfortunately he's dropping down the order there after that spin, as Tango has got the move there on Mumford. Irvine's taken the lead. I completely missed it. I'm very sorry, Irvine, as Kamara picks up a penalty as well for his troubles. But Irvine has taken the lead of the Grand Prix. Tango splits the McLarens there into P2, and great recovery indeed from Tango there after starting at the back of towards the back of the grid there after the difficult sprint event that he had. He's now got himself back up into the podium places as Ewok and Beast now battling away into turn 4. Ewok Beast trying to go around the outside there, and now held the inside there into sector 3. He's got the move done up in P13. Brabbit there into P12, right behind his teammate now of Reflection, trying to just outside the top 10 as well. Diashi there holding on to that 10th place for the time being, but I think he might be under threat very soon indeed from those on the fresher hard compound tyres there of Reflection, and from Brabbit as well. Spike Leo's got a 3-second penalty as well that we added on to his race time at the end of the Grand Prix, and unfortunately the penalties do come back to bite you as Favre's got himself past Kamara racer there up into P7. Kamara dropping down to P8 there, trying to go down the inside there was Favre, and he's got himself a 3-second penalty. Spike Leo's had a problem at turn 1 as well, but that is before turn 1, so I'm not sure what has happened there. Gordo's got himself up into P4. He's ahead of Dylan now into turn 3. They're trying to go around the outside, but now has opened the door for Sweet MJP to go down the inside, and he's dropped down to P6 there, P4 to P6, unfortunately in one corner for Gordo, but he's doing a great job of holding on at this stage. Hopefully he can do, as Irvine has lost the lead there. Tango now up into the lead of this Grand Prix. We've had a few changes for the lead already, and now the Aston Martin resumes the honours into the lead of this Grand Prix. But Irvine, I think, will have something to say about that. He'll try and hold on to the back there of those drivers. Diashi's off the circuit there. He's had a problem there. Where has he gone? He's off the circuit at the exit of turn 5, or entry of turn 5, I think reset the track as well. That is bad news indeed for him. But now he's got himself back on the way. Dan is all over the back now of Mr. Elite as well on those soft compact tyres. He's going to have to hope that it starts raining very soon indeed as well. But up the order there, the DRS is now, of course, is enabled. And Favre is trying to make some moves there on into P6 there after that penalty being picked up there. He's ahead of Gordo now and trying to get himself back past the order there, trying to get himself up into the realms of the top 3. Of course, we've seen some great podiums indeed from Favre already this season, I should say, sorry. As Irvine getting a bit squirrely there on the exit, that could cost him to Dylan and his teammate. As Dylan's got himself some great traction there out of turn 3 and ahead of the McLaren. Has he? Oh no! Here comes Sweet MP down the inside. He's up the inside there. Dylan, he's got the move done, and now here comes the Williams there trying to get himself past the. Oh no! What's happened there? He's let the Alfa Romeo back through. I think Farf there. It was going to go down the inside as well. It's close indeed. I think, there's a bit of contact, I think, there. But the Williams has just managed to regain his composure there in P6. Favre now up into P5. And Dylan there, who looked like he was going to go on, get himself back into the podium places there. But he's now back down to P4 with Favre all over the back of him here as well in the Alpine, pushing himself through the final couple of quarters as well. DRS now available to all these drivers right behind Tango. They're all bunching up. You can see the queue there as we go down the main straight. Yellow flags for Dan. He's had a problem there at the exit of turn 5 as well. He must have gone on the curb like we saw from Diashi there in the sprint race, I should say, as Brabbitt has got himself past Gordo now and up into P9. Favre and Dylan switching places there into turn 3. Dylan there sandwiched a bit in between the Alpine and the McLaren, and Favre there trying to get himself down the inside there of Mumford as well now in towards the podium places. But of course that penalty will come back to him, come back to bite him, I should say. He's not got much ERS to play with, but down the inside into turn 4, again deep on the brakes in front of us, we can see Tango getting the lead. And can Favre now go for a move there on the McLaren of Irvine into sector 2? It's going to go down the inside. There's contact between the two of them, and that, I think, that is unfortunate. That is a massive error from Favre. And now Tango and Mumford have been caught up as well. And all of this is going to end in carnage because of Favre's move, and it could come back to bite him as well indeed. But thankfully everyone has sorted themselves out. Unfortunately for Irvine, he's out of the top 10. Sweet MDP's had a problem there as well. He's now battling past his teammate of Ewok. Unfortunately, I think that was all caused by Favre trying to go for an audacious move on the inside there of Irvine there, which cost Irvine, sent Irvine, I should say, into a spin. And that has cost, and it's cost the rest of the grid to the top 2 as well. There's a massive gap now between Tango and Dylan. Look at that, it's now almost 3 seconds there. And unfortunately, Favre is at great fault indeed, I think, for all of that. I'm grinning from ear to ear, as you can tell from my voice. Spike Leo set the fastest lap of the race there. He's onto a fresh set of soft compact tyres there. And Reflection is trying to go for a move there on the Williams, trying to go around the outside there at turn 4. Can he make that move stick there into sector 2, into the rest of sector 2, I should say. Down the inside, Swing Repeat leaves space as well, but he's now got the momentum. Oh, there's contact again there from Reflection, and it seems the drivers there are I'm not sure whether they're just losing concentration there in sector 2, but it just seems problem after problem there in sector 2 there is coming their way, as now Sweet MJP has been spun by Reflection, and I think that could be a penalty coming both Favre and Reflection's way there for the previous incident for Favre, of course, and for Reflection there as well. That was dangerous driving indeed, and unfortunately, there's again contact between Kamara and Brabbitt there into turn 1 as well, and Gordo's got himself back through. And I think Beast is going to try and make the opportunity move as well and try and get himself back past the Mercedes as well in the Ferrari there into turn 3. And they has made the move there into turn 3 as Brabbitt has to go around the outside there as well. And like I said, it's getting a bit nitty and gritty there as we reach the halfway stage of this Grand Prix. A few drivers there. Oh my goodness me, what has gone on there as well? That is ridiculous. There is a McLaren off the circuit of Mumford. Mumford's off the circuit. Kamara's off the circuit as well. It's all turning into chaos here in Silver in round 9 as well. And Mumford's now, Kamara's had to let Mumford back through there, I think, as Irvine's picked up a penalty there. Well, not picked up a penalty, sorry, picked up a position there on Echo ahead of the Ferrari driver now into the top 10 there. Kamara's got himself a penalty. Reflection's got himself past Echo, as Echo's now struggling there. I think he's got left end plate damage there, has the Ferrari driver. He doesn't need to come back that far over to the right hand side. He can just swing himself into the pit lane normally, but he has come into the pit lane regardless now. and sorting himself out. Good stuff indeed. Gordo's been passed back by Brabbit now and trying to get a move there, back down the inside there into, well, the exit of turn 1, I should say. He's got himself back up into P4, has the Red Bull driver on 18 lap, medium compound tyres. I don't think the rain is coming quick enough for the medium runners. Mumford is struggling as well on his medium compound tyres, and now Ewok is up into P7 as well. Spark Leo's got a 3-second penalty, unfortunately for him. Echo is back in the pits, and Echo has pitted there for the soft compound tyres, so he does expect the rain to fall very soon, as we can tell from the strategy, potentially. Anyway, so there we go. Brabbit now back past Gordo there, up into P4. Farf is 2 seconds back there from the top 2. Brabbit is 2 seconds back there from Farf. So the top 2 once again. This time Tango and Dylan are splitting away from the rest of the field and trying to get themselves a bit of a move on now and get themselves a bit of a gap there. Should the rain start to fall, they want to have as much of a gap there in hand as to potentially try and get themselves back out ahead there of anybody trying the undercut there onto the inters or even the wet compound tyres as we start lap 20. Kamara's picked up a second penalty there. Unfortunately for him, he's not having a good time there at this stage. Gordo has lost out to Brabbit there. The DRS there has been lost there by the Red Bull now, and Ferrari of Beast there has got himself through and has got himself up into P5 now. Has Beast as Gordo slots him behind once again for P6 there. 19 laps now on the medium compound tyres. I think they're going to be screaming, waiting for the rain to fall, but it doesn't look like it's falling at all or going to be falling at all at this stage or any stage very soon. It still looks nice and well, it doesn't look too wonderful over there, but it looks like the clouds are starting to form, but it doesn't look like they're threatening any rain just yet at this stage in Spielberg, as Tango has now dropped off the back, unfortunately, of Dylan. Dylan's now got a 1.2 second lead, and that could be him stretching his legs out into the distance there for yet another Grand Prix victory here. Brabbit there has got himself back up into P4 after that bit of an escapade there with that front wing change as well, as Kamara's got himself back past Mumford and into P8, all going very wide there as Kamara. That it could cost him another warning, potentially more penalties coming his way as well. But yeah, like I was saying, Brabbit's got himself back up into the realms there of P4, and of course now chasing down Farf there for P3 as well, getting himself back into the podium places. And like I said, if the rain does fall very soon, that will be a blessing there for Farf, the blessing for Gordo, and a blessing for Mumford and Diashi there, who've done a lot of laps there on the medium compound tyres. But if it doesn't fall very soon, then that will just be costing them time over and over again. Each lap, it doesn't rain anymore. But currently, we're on to lap 21 of 36. We're only 3 laps away there from 2/3 distance. And at the moment, there is no rain on the horizon, as far as I can tell anyway. But like I said, I probably have the eyes of a blind person. So there we go. Farf still came out on top, says Serious Russian. Yeah, he did, by putting everyone else in the dirt, it looks like. So that is unfortunate there for Farf. He will be getting a penalty, and I will not be having it any other way. As I'm saying that, and I'm just realising there, it's turned a bit grey over the circuit now as we get on to lap 22 of 36 there. Only 15 laps to go there, including this one, of course. But will there be some rain in the next few minutes there to spice this race up? And will there be anybody who gets the opportunity or gets the opportune strategy right? Swim to P goes wide there at the exit of turn 1. Gordo's has been passed there by Ewok there on 13 lap old hard compound tyres. The medium's now dropping off massively as Diashi and Swim to P are battling away. Swearjip trying to get himself back up the order there in this Grand Prix, and Dan has got a 3-second penalty for his troubles as well. Here comes the Williams there on the back of the Haas, and I think this is going to be a formality there. Of course, the Haas has got 21 lap old medium compound tyres and 12 lap old hard compound tyres. Going to be much fresher, much readier on this, much more grippier as well in this race for the Williams driver. He's back past the Haas of Diashi there, now trying to get himself after the next Haas of Luke. Fabulous. Right then. Well, the gap now is 3 seconds between Dylan and Tango. Dylan is shooting off literally into the distance. Of course, the fresher tyres there will play a factor. They're almost, well, they're not halfway younger than Tango's, but they're very closer to halfway than they are to being the same, that is. So unfortunately for Tango, he's going to be dropping further and further back there from, as we've got a yellow flag, it's Sweet MJP. And he is out, and it's a safety car and he's out of the exit of turn 1 is the Williams driver. That is a big smash there. You could, well, he's gone now, but you could see the Williams there briefly at the exit of turn 1. It is easy to spin the car and smash the car into the wall there, but unfortunately that is 2 drivers there who've had an incident at I think it was, I'm not sure where was Dopey Lemons' incident, I can't remember now, but 2 drivers there with an incident there that has caused a safety car, and unfortunately for Swim to P that is a big shame, because he was looking good to get himself back in this race. I think with only 13 lap old hard compound tyres. Is Dylan coming in the pit lane? I think he is. Dylan is in the pits from the race lead. Tango is following him in, I think, as well. And this could be interesting now. What are they going to go on to? Are they going to go on to intermediate compound tyres? I think the rain has started to fall there as they enter the pit lane. This could be dramatic indeed if they go on to dry compound tyres here as well. It's Inters there for the race leader. Tango is also onto the intermediate compound tyres. Farf is going to go on to soft compound tyres. This is going to be dramatic indeed as we come out of the pit lane. There's soft compound tyres there for Farf. He's going to be in P3 on the grid, well, on the restart. Intermediates for everyone else. Beast is onto the soft compound tyres. The rain started falling as the race leader entered the pit lane, and this is going to be chaotic indeed. Who is going to get the strategy right? Of course, if it's only just started raining, there is only be very light rain. If it is indeed, there is very small droplets there forming on the track now. But how quickly is it going to start raining? Is the softs going to be the right call, or are they going to be a terrible choice by the end of the safety car period here? It could be close indeed, as the like I said, the soft compound tyres there for Favre could be a great call actually, if he can get himself quite a big lead there off the safety car restart. But he needs the safety car to be in pretty quickly to maximise the benefit there of the soft compound tyres compared to those on the Inters. And of course the Inter drivers want to keep the safety car out for a couple more laps there to make sure that it is wet enough there for the Inters on the restart as well. Right then, we are 2/3 of the way through this race, and Mr. Elite is pit for hard compound tyres. I'm not quite sure what Mr. Elite's up to, but yeah, interesting choice there indeed. But yeah, that is definitely the wrong choice, my good sir. Although the hards probably could get to the end of the race from here if it was going to be dry, but I think it might be in. We might be in for a bit of a wet one now to the finish of this Grand Prix. So I would advise pitting once again if that is if you can hear me. That is Luke is onto the soft compound tyres, Gordo onto the intermediate compound tyres. So there is some differences in strategy here. Mr. Elite coming around the final corner. He's going back into the pit lane there to serve his, well, not serve his anything, but he's going to try and get himself sorted there onto the right compound tyre as he gets himself sorted once again there. Right then, this is going to get interesting stuff indeed. Reflection has had a problem, I think. There he's dropped down the order there, Reflection. I'm not quite sure what is going on there for some of these drivers there. They're having issues all over the place. Mr. Elite is onto the intermediate compound tyres, so that is him, I think, onto the right compound tyre. Should we get ourselves restarted in the next couple of laps or so? I think it should be in at the end of this lap, depending on Mr. Elite catching up to the queue, and he should be able to catch up to the queue quite easily there. He's not too far behind Dan. So I think we're going to have a restart here with five drivers? 5 drivers on the softs, everybody else on the intermediates, and this could get spicy indeed. So right then, we'll have to, I think, if it's just these sort of conditions there, then the soft compound tyres will be much better, of course, indeed, on the restart. However, if it gets any heavier this rain, then we might see those on the soft start to struggle there, and the intermediates be the right tyre to be on. Safety car is in this lap there, so we're going to be getting ourselves restarted there at the end of lap 25 there, beginning of lap 26. We will have 11 laps to go at the end of this lap, of course, and we will have to wait and see if the rain is going to fall heavy enough. I'm not quite sure it's heavy enough right now for the intermediate compound tyres. Those on the softs might have made a strategic masterclass here. If it, of course, stays dry or stays as it is for the next few laps as well, they'll be able to get themselves through the order and get themselves a big gap as well, indeed. But we have to wait and see how it's going to unfold. And of course, Grand Prix racing around Austria, it seems to rain every race, especially in my case anyway, so I think it's probably just a curse for myself. Alright then, away we go, and Tango is into the pit lane. Tango is calling it already. He's gone onto the pits, has the Aston Martin for P2 on the grid. He doesn't think it's going to be wet enough there, as Farf there goes through. He's into P2 there. Ultimate Beast up into P3 already as Brabbit there has got himself into P4. Oh, there's almost contact in the back there between Luke and Ewok as well as he got himself through into turn 1. And Gordo has got himself past Luke as well. Dylan has been passed by Farf. Farf is now up into the lead of the Grand Prix. Another race leader has changed hands. And Luke is now getting himself back past Gordo as well into turn 3. I think the soft compound tyres, we're seeing the soft compound tyres be the right call here as a few drivers there getting themselves through the order, but I think it might switch into the intermediate tyre favour in the next lap or so. But here comes the look at the pace there of Ultimate Beast there compared to Brabbit there on the traction of at the exit of turn 4. The soft compound tyres are massively in favour at this stage of the race. Echo's getting himself through the order. Can he get himself past as many people as possible quickly enough as there's contact between Echo and Diashi, and I think that was Echo causing a spin there for the Haas driver there in turn 5. Echo trying to get himself now past Irvine as well. Yellow flags there, I think, for Diashi trying to recover there. Echo up into P11 there before turn 9, and he's already up into the echelons of the top 10. The soft compound tyres are definitely the tyre to be on at this stage. Gordo's been overtaken there by Kamara. Oh, there's contact, but Gordo, I think it looked like Kamara just trying to cut across Gordo there, and he didn't do it with it. Well, he did it, but he didn't do it with enough space left for the Red Bull driver, and Spike Leo is retired in the pit lane there. That is unfortunate. VTOL is back onto the medium compound tyres. The Ashi is retired in somewhere as well, and that's a safety car, and I think that is what has happened to the Ashi there as well. The Ashi's had the same incident or same issue as Sweet MJP there. 2 retirements there in the space of 2 seconds. Spike Leo, I don't think he's going to get a full-time seat anytime soon for pitting and quitting. Diashi there, I'm not sure if he was crashing there on purpose, but he just crashed at the exit of turn 1 where we saw Sweet MJP have this incident as well. Safety cars being called out, and this could be bad news indeed there for the soft runners, or it could be good news indeed. We'll have to wait and see. Kaz has said hello. Gordo has said it's not getting wet, so Gordo might be one to come back into the pit lane then if he's saying that. Potentially we might see the soft compound tyres be the right compound tyre to finish the Grand Prix on. That might be an interesting call indeed, or maybe it will get, we have to wait and see. It might get wetter. Gordo is in the pit lane, so he's calling it a day, I think, as Gordo. Safety car of course will help negate any or negate too much loss there for the Red Bull driver, but if it's not getting any wetter, then the soft compound tyres will be the best tyre to be on for the rest of this Grand Prix. Of course, it has to be. You have to make sure that it's going to be. The right tyre to be on for the last few laps. Of course, Tango is pitted for the medium compound tyres. He is, of course, trying to get himself back up the order there, but he thinks the dry compound tyres are going to be the best one. As Kamara Racer and Ewok switching places, which is not what they should be doing behind the safety car. And we are, I think, we're ready to get going again. Dan is going to catch up to the back of the queue very soon as well. But then we'll be able to crack on with the rest of this Grand Prix. There's still a few drivers there out on intermediate compound tyres. Mr. Elite in P12, Irvine in P11, Mumford in P9, Reflection in P8 there, Ewok in P6, Brabbit in P5, and Dylan in P2. But the rest of the drivers have either pitted for the soft compound tyres at the beginning of the safety car shenanigans, I should say, only a few laps ago now, with Sweet MJP's retirement, and Diashi there has pit as well. Diashi's out and caught another safety car there. So that is him having more issues there in this Grand Prix. And like I said, he needs to just keep a calm head there. I think in these races he could have potentially got himself back in this one, having been on the soft compound. Oh, sorry, he was on the intermediate compound tyres. Never mind. Very sorry indeed. Right then. Oh, as there's more pit activity, Irvine is in the pit lane. So can he make a call there? Is he going to go back onto the dry compound tyres as well? I think the rain is starting to get a bit heavier here, but it's only very slight compared to when it started. So potentially we might be finishing this race on the dry compound tyres in a bit of a wet condition, but not completely wet track. So that is interesting stuff indeed. I think Irvine will have enough pace to get himself back in the safety car queue there to restart this race at the end of this lap there. So we'll have 7 laps of racing to unfold, hopefully, of green flag running to the end of the race. Diashi got spun twice. He said at the same spot, unfortunately for Diashi there. But yeah, like I said, it was yeah, a bit of an odd retirement that, but he's caused the safety car, and this is the safety car we're going to have to try and deal with there as we get ourselves hopefully back underway at the end of this lap there. Yellow flags are, of course, still fluttering there. The safety car should be in at the end of this lap. It is coming in the end of this lap there. Safety car is in at the end of lap 29 there. We're going to have 7 laps of racing. Is it going to get wetter? Is it going to stay dry enough? What we're going to find out there in these 7 laps as well. It's going to be no, he's just left the session there, Spike there. Right then, far off there to lead us away. And when will he get himself ready to get going? The safety car needs to get himself back to the pit lane first before Favre can drop the hammer. But like I said, it's still looking like potentially the conditions are favouring the soft compound tyres at this stage. But there could be time there for it to switch in the favour of the intermediate runners, as Favre has already gone. He's caught Dylan napping, I think. There is Dylan almost a second behind there as we exit turn 10 and get ourselves back underway. Diashi's left the session now, unfortunately. Diashi's not had a good time in Austria tonight, but there we go. Then Dylan has got himself back sorted, but he's almost 1 second behind the leader of Favre in P1 as it stands. And there we go then. Mr. Elite being overtaken there by Tango. Oh, at the exit of turn 1 as well. And they're getting a bit feisty, these two. And that was not good news indeed there between the two of them. They were really battling away. And it depends if the soft compound tyres are the right compound, or the dry compound tyres are the right compound. And Mr. Elite in the back of Tango. And now Gordo's going to try and get himself past his teammate as well. And this is where it gets problematic, as Mr. Elite off the circuit there. I'm not quite sure what that was for. But he's off the circuit. They're having a bit of a difficult time. Is the Red Bull driver there? Potentially just because he's on the wrong compounded tyre as well. We'll have to wait and see. At the back of the order, at the top of the order, as I say, Dylan has lost out that 1 second window there. It is still, I think, dry enough there for the soft compound tyres, which is going to be music to the ears of those who pitted as well. Mumford is dropping down the order. Mumford had a problem there on the inters. He's lost out in sector 2 and out into sector 3. Unfortunately, he's dropped down the order there. V Todd has been passed by Dan, and Dan now could still be on for a points pen positions here in this Grand Prix. Gordo's all over the back of Echo. Echo's all over the back of Tango, and Tango's all over the back of Reflection now, as well, as the Inters are not the right tyre to be on, as it seems, and this is going to be an interesting stuff there towards the end of this Grand Prix. Kamara trying to get himself past Ewok now for P6 and up into where he started, I should say, in this Grand Prix. As it's still getting wetter on the circuit, but Kamara goes deep there into turn 3, and Ewok could reopen the door. I think it might switch to intermediate compound tyres, or favour the intermediate compound tyres in the next 5 laps or so. We've only got 5 laps left of this Grand Prix, but it could be the right call over the long term. That would be fantastic if it was. It's looking like the dry compound tyres are perfect right now, or able to cope right now with the light rain that we've got. But potentially we'll see the heavier rain start to fall in the next couple of laps or so, and that would then switch the balance back into the favour of the intermediates. Anything could happen in Formula 1. Anything could happen here in Austria tonight for silver, and I think anything will happen as well, as this is going to be one epic finish, I believe. 5 laps to go now as DRS has been re-enabled, so DRS is still enabled. Luke is in the pit lane. Luke has had a problem there from P4. He's decided to pit there from the soft compound tyres. Not sure why Luke is in the pits there. He's had a problem, I think. We'll have to wait and see if there's a front wing change there for the Haas car, but there isn't. It's intermediate compound tyres going on Luke's car, so now he thinks that the switchover is at the right time. Mr. Elite is going a bit squirrely there through turn 9, but he's managed to get himself back, pointing in the right direction. Tango's got himself past Ewok there, so he's still the medium compound tyres, not looking too bad compared to those on the intermediate compound tyres. Mr. Elite, Gordo and Echo and Dan now all battling away. They're all within close proximity. Echo's lost out there to Dan, and now in towards turn 4. Gordo's going to try and defend down the inside of Dan as well. Dan going around the outside there on the soft compound. As there's contact, and Dan loses out now to Irvine. Echo and he's lost that to himself as well, I suppose. But he's down to P12, unfortunately. Echo and Irvine capitalising there on the mistake there from the AlphaTauri driver, and now putting the pressure on Reflection there. These guys on the soft compound tyres are still putting the pressure on the intermediate runners, and they're still clinging on there at this stage of the Grand Prix. There is still 4 laps to go at the end of this one. Well, there's 4 laps to go from now as well as the leader across the line to start lap 33. But it's getting close indeed, and Dylan now is caught up to the back of Farf. This is where the switchover is. I think the DRS is still enabled though, so there's still the the FIA still think it's dry enough anyway. But who knows what the FIA are thinking at any time. But Dylan now takes back the lead of the Grand Prix down the inside into turn 3. And I think this is where the signal is now, where the signal is for the soft compound tyres to be the wrong tyre, and now the intermediates there to be the right tyre. Into turn 4 we go, but Favre can't fight back. Beast up into P3, looking good indeed actually for a podium. Here is Beast, if he can hold on now on those soft compound tyres. Irvine is under pressure now from reflection, or will be, because the intermediates, I think, are going to be switching on now in this next phase, in this next lap or so. And I think it could switch back on its head. So it's going to get very interesting indeed. Kamara, they're up into P5 ahead of his teammate. But, of course, the penalties for Kamara will come back to bite him. Have a look at the penalty situation. There is the Driver of the Day poll in the comments section. Get your votes in for Driver of the Day. So good stuff indeed as... yellow flags there. Beast picks up a penalty as well. Unfortunately, that is going to cost him 1 place currently to Brabbit, as Echo trying to get himself back underway. And right then, here we go then. Right then, this is 3 laps to go now, and I think, like I said, look at the gap there between the race leader on the intermediates of Dylan, Farf on the soft compound tyres. It's 1.6 seconds. This is just showing that the intermediates now are the best tyre, so it could switch once again into the favour of those who stayed out on the intermediate compound tyres at the very beginning. So this is going to be one hell of a finish indeed. You can't vote for Driver of the Day, I don't think, just yet, apart from maybe for Dylan, maybe for Brabbit there. He's going to try and get himself back past Beast there, as I've cursed Beast there with saying he hadn't got any penalties just yet. But now the intermediates are switching into favour, and this could be a problem there for those on the dry compound tyres. Tango has got himself past his teammate of Kamara Racer there. Tango trying to push on still on those dry tyres, on the mediums that is. But at the moment there, VTOL as well battling away with Dan in towards turn 5. But now I think the intermediate runners there will start to come through. Echo is back in the pit lane. He's onto the intermediate compound tyres also. So that is good news for Echo. He's onto the right tyre, I would say, at this stage. 3 seconds now is the gap there for Dylan, as he's really pushing on there, and I think this is it. This is the crossover. We've got on the penultimate lap now, though, and there's time running out there for those who are on the intes trying to get past. Here's Brabbit trying to get himself into the podium places there on track, but he's trying to get himself past the Ferrari, which is going to be quick indeed on the straights, but not so quick there as we get into the braking zone there of turn 3, and into the braking zone we go. And Brabbit is up into P3 there. Good stuff indeed. He will get himself past Farf there on the penalty situation there. We'll have a look further down the order. I think we've just seen reflection. No, it's not. It's Viton and Dan into turn 3. It's getting dicey indeed there, of course, on the traction there for those on the dry compound tyres as well. Reflection trying to get himself past Gordo now in towards turn 4. He's going to have to try and get himself through quickly indeed, because of course the penalties there will be added on there for those ahead of him, and he needs to be as close as possible to maximise himself the best points indeed as well. Yellow flag for Echo, I think. Is Echo on the main straight there, trying to get himself turned around there and back underway. Dylan there is starting off the final lap now as he crosses the line to finish off lap 35 and start lap 36. The final lap there of the Grand Prix. He's got a 6-second lead, and Farf now is all over the back there Brabbit is all over the back there of Farf now, and I think that is a formality there. Brabbit will get through, as we might see Ewok trying to get himself through as well on Kamara Racer. The intermediates now definitely the right tire. Gordo's been passed by Reflection, unbeknownst to me. Brabbit's got himself past Farf as well on the final lap. Reflection picks up a penalty. That is bad news for Reflection. That could cost him dearly indeed. DRS has been disabled there, it looks like, though, because Gordo's not got any DRS. Ewok's got himself past Kamara Racer there on the end side of turn 3 and up into P6 for Ewok. Good stuff indeed from him as well after starting further down the back. Dan and VTOD resume their battle as on the traction once again there. It's trying to get the power down. It's so difficult. VTOD there trying to get himself down the inside now into turn 4. We'll come back to that as Tango there has been overtaken, or is trying to overtake Beast there. He's got himself all over the back now of the Ferrari. Beast is struggling there, I think, and Ewok is going to be all over the back of this battle in just a few seconds time. But we'll come back to all of that because Dylan there rounds the penultimate corner. Tango picks up a penalty there. That's bad news for him as well. But Dylan there rounds the final corner there of the Austrian Grand Prix to win once again here in silver and take the victory in the Styrian Grand Prix as well. Fantastic stuff indeed from the Alfa Romeo driver. What a battle indeed in the sprint event with Brabham, and what a battle in the early stages of this Grand Prix as well. But he had a comfortable victory there, 7.3 seconds to Brabham there, his championship rival there in P2. Great stuff indeed. Farf gets the podium as well. Even with the penalty situation, Ewok does get a P4, which is a fantastic result indeed. Tango P5, Beast in P6, Irvine P7, Reflection in P8, V Todd in P9, Kamara Racer in P10 in the end after all his penalties. Unfortunately for Gordo, he's outside the points. Dan in P12, Luke in P13, Mumford P14, Mr. Elite in P15, and Echo will cross the line in P16 as well. Oh, blimey. What a race indeed. That was absolutely fantastic stuff, and what a race from all the drivers who managed to finish off that Grand Prix indeed as well. That was absolutely epic, and blimey, I'm very sweaty right now, so I'm gonna have to have a little lie down, I think, after this one. But there we go then. Get your votes, last minute votes in there for driver of the day. It is still going there. Alpha Win couldn't be happier, says Serious Mushroom there. Get in there, get in B Rabbit there, says Serious Mushroom as well, supporting both the drivers there. Absolutely rubbish, says Tango as well. But he's still got himself some good points there for himself and the championship fight. It is Tango in P3 in the standings, I should say, which is probably why he's unhappy there. I think maybe somebody might have jumped him there for P3, but still. We are there celebrating on the podium there, as there is the classification there for the overall sprint weekend, I suppose you could say. There's quite a lot of drivers who scored some points there. V Todd there did get some points in the end. Unfortunately for Gordon, no points for him. Same for Dan, Luke, Echo Meister and Diashi and Dopey Lemons there. But everybody else, all the other 14 there did get some points in the end. B Rabbit has joined us in the commentary box, but we'll get the classification of the race itself underway. As there we go, Dylan is your well, it wasn't your pole sitter, but is your winner. Brabbit in P2, Farf P3, Ewok P4, Tango in P5, Ultimate Beast P6, Irvine in P7, Reflection in P8 there, V Todd in P9, and Kamara Racer is your top 10. We'll have a brief look there at the bottom 10 as well. Unfortunately, there was a few drivers there who had their issues there. Spike Leo doesn't get the fastest lap because he pit and quit. So it will go to the other drivers who set the next fastest lap. So Spike Leo, unfortunately, with that pit and quit, has cost himself and his AlphaTauri team a fastest lap point there. But nonetheless, that is the way it goes. We've got, I think, everybody in the not in the comment section, in the commentary box there. So good stuff indeed. If you can just stop your static there, that'd be great. But we've got Farf there in the commentary box. Farf, you've got a podium in the end. How did you feel, and what did you think was your strategy before the rain started to fall?
They weren't one. Seriously, weren't one.
Brilliant. Okay, so you started on the hard compound tyres, and then you pit very early to the medium compound tyres, and then you pit for the intermediate compound tyres when the safety car came out, and that was unplanned, all of it.
Nope, I pitted for softs actually, technically. Now the early safety car I gambled, pit on the mediums. And obviously the late safety car, I put it on softs when everyone went in. Instead of the second safety car didn't come out, I think I was in for it, but hey ho.
Well, it was a pretty good call there to go on the soft compound tyres, it looked like, and to be fair, it did still gain you some places, even though it did switch to the intermediates, or favour the intermediates towards the last few laps there. Were you just clinging on for the best result, or did you think that you had a podium in hand still?
I was just clinging on.
Fair enough then, good stuff. Well, congratulations on your podium, and hopefully we see you back for some more entertaining interviews in the future. But there we go. B Rabbit there in P2 in the end. Unfortunately, you lost the lead before turn 1 there to Dylan, and it didn't look like you were going to be able to get it back at one point, as that front wing damage sort of appeared out of nowhere, especially for the stream. Could you tell us a bit more what happened with that? How did you get that front wing damage? We didn't see it on the stream.
Yeah, first of all, congrats to Dylan. I mean, on the start he was quicker. My start was quite fine, but I'm not. Maybe I was a little bit too careful on the throttle, but yeah, he deserves the lead in turn 1, and then I just want to hang in for a few laps to to get everything sorted from behind, and I think then we had a little gap, and yeah, I don't know. I have to look into it. I'm not sure if one of us turned in to another, but yeah, the front in the end I had front wing damage. It was really desperate, and yeah, I tried a few laps to stay with the field, but I quickly recognized that I lost lots of position, and then I decided to pit. I think half a lap later we had a safety car, so unlucky for me, but yeah, the safety car was good for me all in all, so I could have had the field quite behind in front of me, and then I catched up position by position, but yeah, some strange battles in front of me. Happily, I could avoid more incidents, and yeah, in the end, I don't know what happened to the rain, because in Imola we had like half of a lap rain, and then it was red for inters. So I was too late for the pit stop, and now I pitted in the correct time, and I don't know how many laps it was still dry, but I don't get the rain on this game so far, but maybe in the next race. So all in all, I'm quite happy.
Well, it was a good recovery from yourself indeed, especially even with that safety car as well, the early safety car that is, to get yourself back up in the order, and then in the end, with all of that shenanigans in the wet conditions, or not wet conditions at the beginning of that as well, to get yourself a P2 is a fantastic result indeed after that recovery. So congratulations to yourself. And what are you thinking there for the next race, which of course is Silverstone?
It depends on the weather, but I think I should be fine in every condition. I like Silverstone. I had yeah, good memories from the past when I was league racing there, but we have to see. For me, it was good to still have a podium this race. But anyways, congrats to Dylan. He deserves the win today. He had quite a good gap in the end, and looking forward to race with you in the next few races, Dylan.
Good stuff indeed, and well done to Brabbit as well. We'll come on to Dylan now. Of course, the race winner, well, the feature race winner here in Austria. You must be very, very pleased with that one.
Probably one better from last night, to be quite frankly. What do you call it? I have an overall pace altogether. The sprint race, I'm a bit disappointed, but hey ho, what do you call it? The mistake cost me in the sprint. Now the feature, it's what do you call it? Got a good start as B Rabbit. Need to look into it, but there was a gap for B Rabbit to go on the outside. I give him plenty of space from where I'm at, so yeah, pretty much it. And onto I think it was second safety car. I paid for Inters because I knew it will be Inters till the end of the race. I was struggling to keep up with Farf, and Beast was catching up on me, so until what you call final safety car, which has helped me a lot because of what you call the weather condition deteriorating, so that kind of way.
No,
so yeah,
you made what would look like the wrong call at the first safety car, or the second safety car that night of the night, that is. But by the second safety car, like you were saying there, it was absolutely the right call to switch on to, and of course you finished with a 7-second gap there to B Rabbit in P2. Of course, having to battle through some of the soft compound tyre runners as well. But no, absolutely perfection on the strategy, to be fair. So again, a similar sort of thing from yourself yesterday night as well. So great stuff indeed from yourself. And what's your thoughts as well for Silverstone next week?
I love that track. Honestly, it's what you call it. I expect to be right around top end of it again. So I'm pretty much expecting about similar around Austria as well. Austria and Silverstone is pretty much my go-to track.
Brilliant stuff. Well, we've got both championship protagonists looking pretty confident there for next week as well. Unfortunately, Farf hopefully won't be in the mix for a podium interview. We don't want Farf back, but we'll have Rabbit and it'll be Rabbit and Dylan back, of course, next week, hopefully. But we will have to wait and see how that unfolds there. In a week's time, of course, it is Silverstone for silver from the dot here as well. But of course, there's bronze action tomorrow night there, another sprint event there for themselves here in Spielberg, and then the F2, of course, is back with myself driving, unfortunately, here in Austria as well on Wednesday night. So stay tuned. There's plenty more action coming up before we get back to Silverstone. We'll get to Silverstone there from Sunday in gold. So there's plenty more action to tune into here on ALR, and we'll see you soon.